Okay, so I thought I'd do story time. My name's Maxine. I'm 40 years old, and a little over a year ago, I had a heart attack. Um, I was 38. I was 2 days away from being 39, and it was Monday, January the 28th, and I was picking the kids up from school, and we think that's when it happened. So I had a heart attack on the school run, and then I went shopping to Tesco. Anyway, let's take it back a little bit and I'll tell you what happened. So a week prior to that, I woke up Sunday night, Monday morning, 3 a.m. and I was like, whew, I have like this pain, like below my collarbones, above my boobs, here. And it felt like uncomfortable lung pain. Now, I'd been sick, the whole family had had flu, and then I had about 2 weeks where I was well, and then I got another cold, and I was like, this is some bullshit. And I was still like, poorly at this point, still sick with this cold. And I started to have this uncomfortable chest pain, but it lasted like 1 to 2 minutes max. I got up, went to the toilet. By the time I got back into bed, it was gone. Next night, the same thing, 3 a.m., woke up with chest pain, but that felt like, like if you're unfit and you go running for a bus or you run outside and it's freezing cold winter and your lungs burn, like your lungs hurt. That's what it felt like. So thought nothing of it. It had gone by the time I went back to bed after going to pee. And then the next day, so the Wednesday, I started to feel like pain in my armpits, and I was like, this is weird, right? Then the pain stopped being in my right armpit and was moving over to my left armpit. Then right, okay, at this point, fair enough. I should have said, right, let's call the doctor. The pain started to travel down my left arm, down the inside, and it felt like somebody was trying to squeeze a marble down a vein, but the vein was too tight and the marble was too big, and they were like really squeezing it. And then these two fingers would go numb and tingly, and I'd be like, shaking it out. And this carried on for the rest of the week. Come the Monday, this is happening 2-3 times a day, but far apart from each other. Again, 1 to 2 minutes, maximum 2 minutes of this pain, this weird sensation. Otherwise, I was absolutely fine. And yeah, just everything was fine. I was working. I was still poorly with this cold, but I was working. Like I say, I have my own business. I've got 2 kids and a husband, so I had people to not really look after, but apologies, I'm again poorly. People to look after, but yeah, I just cracked on. And then come the following Monday, I had 2 episodes in the morning, but like half an hour apart. And then on the afternoon, so I came to work, I did like my 4 or 5 hours of work that I do on Monday, and then I went to go and pick up the kids. And it's chaos. It's chaos. After school, like everybody's pouring out. Everybody wants to get away from the place. And you're trying to stop the kids like from getting ran over and all sorts of stuff. This is a bit chaotic, and it's freezing cold because it's January. So we make it to the car, we get in the car, and I have what I would call a significant pain. When I asked my son, who is 9, 8 at the time, I was like, was it about 5 minutes, buddy? And he was like, no, it was more like 3. And I thought, right, okay, 3. And then I waited for the pain to go before I could drive, so I made sure I was safe to drive. And then I drove us up to Tesco, which is 2 minutes up the road. And then we got into Tesco, and I was like, I need to hold on to something because this pain's come again. 2 episodes within 10 minutes. And I was like, I need to speak to the doctor. Something's not right. So that night I spoke to my husband. He agreed he'd take the kids to school in the morning and I would call the GP because the school and the GP starts or opens at, you guessed it, 8:30. So I rang the GP. The receptionist was like, yeah, no. You need to go to hospital. You need to hang up, call 999 and ask for an ambulance. And I was like, what? I was like, I just want to speak to a doctor about what's going on. I was like, I'm feeling absolutely fine. Get out of my tea. Freaking fungus gnats. Anyway, I was like, I feel absolutely fine. I said, it's just, you know, these 1 to 2 minutes. I was like, it's not even painful enough that I have to take like paracetamol or anything like that. I was like, I'm just curious, you know, I want to speak to a doctor about what it might be. And she went, yeah, no. And I said, okay, explain to me like I'm 5. Why can't I see a doctor? She went, well, if it's like to do with the chest, then we haven't got like chest x-ray machines and stuff like that. And I was like, okay, so what do you want me to do? And she was like, hang up and dial 999. And I was like, I'm working 10 till 7. I'm totally like fine. I was like, okay, thank you very much for your advice. I will do that. I hung up and I called 111 instead, and they called me an ambulance. The 111 guy was so intense. I felt like a child getting shouted at by a parental unit. I swear down. And anyways, so 3 women, three ambulance. What do you call them? You know what I mean. Anyways, an ambulance arrived, 3 attendants. They were all lovely, and they were like, well, we're just going to take you in. Maybe like you get some bloods done. That would be a great idea, because like your ECG seems fine, but the bloods might say something different. So I went in and I was like, okay, you know, it's hella busy. I just don't feel like I should be here. We had to stand outside the hospital to get in through the ambulance entrance because it was that busy. They're like, do you want a wheelchair? And I was like, no, I'm fine. Anyways, cue me being in hospital for an entire week. That's another story in of itself. I got diagnosed on my fucking birthday with coronary artery disease. And it wasn't until a week after I was discharged that my heart nurse told me I'd had a heart attack. Again, that's another story. At this point, I didn't know I'd had a heart attack. I was already back at work by this point. So yeah, that's the story of me having a heart attack and being diagnosed with coronary artery disease, which was, as the cardiologist said, a little bit lifestyle, but hereditary, given that my dad's got 3 stents and his mother, my nanny Mavis, died very young at 52 of a massive heart attack. So there you go. Cue the reason why I'm on an absolute life-changing journey. And it's fascinating. So if you care to join and find out more, then yeah, please subscribe, like, share, whatever the hell they call it. Follow along. And if not, then I will see you at some point, potentially. But yeah, look after yourselves. Look after your heart. I'm a heart attack survivor at 40 years old. And it's taken me about at least a year to process. I don't think I've still fully processed it. So yeah, look after yourselves, guys. Bye.